June 1972. Hurricane Agnes, only a minor hurricane, suddenly turned inland and posed the worst threat the Conowingo Dam had ever seen, and became the storm of the century. It was the highest stream height ever recorded and forced all 53 floodgates to be opened, allowing sediment to pour out 400,000 cubic feet per second, choking organisms and devastating the health of the bay. This is one of many, many reasons why the Conowingo Dam drastically changed the future of Maryland in a dreadful way. Not only did the dam choke organisms, it caused many casualties, depleted oxygen in lower Susquehanna River, and blocked spawning for migratory fish. After the construction was finished in 1928, there was an ongoing conflict about its pros and cons, and Exelon Power fought to keep its license, while scientists believe it is harmful to the health of the Susquehanna River and the Chesapeake Bay. It all started when it was the Roaring '20s, when electricity was changing lives, it illuminated homes, and set Americans on the move.
The use of electricity was doubling every 6 years.
Because of this huge change, it demanded engineers to look for more forms of electricity that were cheaper, and so the country turned to nature and sparked the idea of the Conowingo Dam.
The authorization of the Conowingo project has my complete approval. The construction work will give employment to thousands of Maryland people and will measurably increase the revenues of the state. Maryland Governor Albert Ritchie.
Most people loved the idea of the Conowingo Dam, but there was a great deal of opposition in the 1926 election. Many were against the dam because it would be built by Philadelphia Electric Company, an Exelon Power Company, and Philadelphia, not Baltimore, would get the profit. The opposition argued that Baltimore was already getting electricity from Holtwood Dam, so there was no need for the extra electricity from Conowingo. The issue was settled when Governor Ritchie squared off with Edison E. Mulliken, the leader of the opposition. Mulliken kept arguing about how Baltimore got nothing, but Ritchie's strong argument about the immense amount of tax revenue made his argument firm, and so he won. And so the construction of the Conowingo Dam began. March 1926. Although the Conowingo Dam construction brought thousands of jobs, many workers suffered disabling injuries handling high-voltage electric lines, tumbling from high elevations, managing explosions, pouring concrete, and much more.
There's no way of telling how many men were killed on the job. Often the word would go around that a man had been killed, but I never saw a fatal accident. The workmen spoke so many languages, came from so many parts of the world, nobody knew much about anybody else. Usually a man was known only by the number on his badge, so if he fell into an excavation along with several tons of wet concrete, who was to miss him, let alone mourn his passing? Any able-bodied man who wanted a job could get one at 35 cents an hour for common labor, 60 cents for skilled work.
The Conowingo Dam construction started 50 years before the Occupational Safety and Health Act was passed, guaranteeing the right to a safe job. The sacrifice was clearly not worth the money earned if death was a possible result for many.
In 1926, I was 19 years old. I chopped trees and grubbed out vines and saplings to clear a 7 or 8 acre area on the Harford County side.
Not only did the Conowingo Dam affect the people, more importantly, it hurt the health of the Susquehanna River and the Chesapeake Bay. Clearing many acres of forest during construction was only one of many negative effects the dam had on the environment. The workers were trying to hurry construction before the spring floods, but the deforestation of trees would make the floods even worse by not absorbing most of the water and letting it run off The biggest concern that really got environmentalists worried about the dam was the effect on fish populations upstream. Shad and rockfish are critically important to the Chesapeake Bay ecosystem and also for fishermen. The rising and falling of water depleted oxygen below the Susquehanna River, devastating the Chesapeake Bay ecosystem. The number of shad dropped significantly. In one population survey, there were only 4,000 shad when there were usually countless amount of shad. The river is at its lowest in the summer because the 14-mile pool behind the dam fills up, which kills juvenile shad and rockfish, both important to the ecosystem. The fish consume all the oxygen in water downstream and die. The dam is only on when electricity is needed. If the dam is shut off, the river below the dam becomes barely a stream, and there is not enough water for the fish to survive. The fish also had a problem when migrating upstream for spawning because the dam was blocking their path. The problem got so out of hand that it started a feud. In 1980, the federal government granted Exelon Power a new 50-year license while acknowledging the dam's environmental impact. So, Maryland's environmental authorities requested the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, or FERC, to enforce a minimum flow requirement to maintain oxygen levels required by the state. The FERC said that more studies would have to be done, and so did Philadelphia Electric Company, because since 1966 they have been a generator of, quote, peaking power, and that the only electric plants that can be switched on and off to provide electricity in high demand is oil-fired and hydroelectric plants, and oil is much more expensive than hydropower. In 1979, Exelon estimated the cost of maintaining flow above the minimum requirements to be $3.8 million, and thought it was too high without enough study. Maryland's natural resource officials were frustrated when FERC would only acknowledge the dam's negative effect and not do anything, so they requested a fish ladder that would cost millions built to help bring back the populations of migratory shad as a compromise so Exelon could keep its license, and instead of Exelon paying $4,000 in compensation for damages. But it would be worthless because fish don't have legs and it is extremely difficult to lift themselves up a ladder, which is why in 1991 a fish lift was built to bring back the fish. The fish lift really worked because the shad population increased to 120,000 versus 4,000 in 1984. It's a step up in the right direction, but it's even more important to fix the water because if the water's not right, then $12 million would be a waste. Even after the fish lift was added, there were still problems back in 1972 when Hurricane Agnes splashed through the Conowingo Dam and opened all 53 floodgates and also allowed sediment and nutrients to explode from behind the dam 1 million cubic feet per second, choking underwater grasses and oysters, which have been facing degradation since the 1700s. The dam made Marylanders lazy with bay cleanup because of its feature of trapping pollutants, allowing Marylanders to pollute more and not clean up pollution at the source.
An estimated 180 million tons of sediment behind the Conowingo Dam. To put that in perspective, that's enough to fill 80 M&T Bank stadiums.
Unfortunately, Hurricane Agnes hit right when the bay grasses were just sprouting. Plus, nutrients and sediment levels behind the dam created a disaster for the record books. The grasses are important in the bay's ecology because they provide habitat for juvenile organisms and enhance water quality by trapping and removing sediment from the water. And oysters are filter feeders, but the amount of sediment, 20 million tons, was too much for the grasses and oysters. The excess nutrients cause algae blooms, which also cause a depletion of oxygen, a problem already occurring because of the dam and then worsened. It's much easier to stop the pollution at its source instead of letting it fill the capacity and then dredging it, which is extremely expensive and temporary. Despite all this, the Conowingo Dam is extremely environmentally friendly as it successfully gives a clean source of power to people by the Susquehanna River with hydroelectricity and has become the second largest hydroelectric plant in the United States, supplying 500 megawatts of electricity. Conowingo Dam was the cheapest form of clean power. The dam provided a ton of tax revenue and jobs, but also killed people. The dam also provided scenery, clean drinking water, and a good place for bird watching and fishing, despite also killing fish. But it still polluted the Susquehanna and Chesapeake Bay in many ways. There are more environmentally friendly ways to supply clean power, such as wind farms and solar, and the Conowingo Dam still had mainly negative effects. The Conowingo Dam was a terrible decision because it negatively affected the health of the people and the environment.